You absolutely.
Where's Board of Trustees? No, he was younger than me.
He's what? Yeah.
He was a lot younger than me. Joe's
So can you wait a second for him to sign this before we run out? I've already got the certification and everything, so.
Oh, you're sweet. Would you? You're sweet. Would you want to help me?
That's how that goes. That sounded
Has to be 10 days, I have to put it in the paper. Special meeting.
Let's just say life's been kind to me. Okay?
Yeah. Don't put that on.
Yeah. I have a lot of people.
I turned 70 and my grandkids. And I knew what they were thinking when they started a couple. I said, 70. It's not old, not old. And they go, you think I'm old? I know you do.
Christmas is coming, but you ruined it.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
I know that.
That's all there is to
They're all
it.
like in their 20s and they think I'm like old as the, you know how that goes. I said, isn't 70 like 40 or 50? And they all were like, you know what
It's like, you're old. And then somebody, one of the kids goes, yeah, I'm old for a kid. Like, what do you mean you're old for a kid? Yeah, I'm just 13. Well, you and I need to have a long talk about this, buddy. But they're
okay. There's nothing big on there. I could see them all.
No.
Anything you could see?
No, I didn't see anything big.
We got a crowd. Hey, Robin.
How are you?
Come and join the party.
You have to go.
Good.
Leave. This is not your meeting. Go.
I talked to Rich.
There's Linda. Linda's.
There's been some other stuff going on, so he's going to be meeting with the
Before you become the worst thing in this party.
and really try to get on top of them.
Okay, but
There'll be public comment. Yeah, that's two opportunities.
that's
So you just have to give your name and your address and some concerns.
I talked to Rich.
The library
I
is.
looked at the card.
6.
Couldn't tell it was on or off. So just in case.
Are you busy at work? Particular project or just in general?
Mostly implementation of some state policy.
It's busy.
Yeah, it is.
so old-fashioned. I still love paper and pen.
Well, there's nothing wrong.
No, there really isn't. I mean, it's whatever a person's comfortable doing works.
Absolutely.
I'm one of those guys too. If I want to go back and look, I kind of, you know what I mean? It's easy for me.
Yeah, I like to make them papers.
Do you?
Hey, Ben, it's 6. Not by that clock.
But it is 6.
The official time.
The official clock says 6. All right, folks, we're calling a call to order for the Public Safety Committee meeting of today, at this date. And I'm looking around, Ms. Clerk, and I think everybody's here, so we've got a quorum.
Five are present, one absent. You have a quorum.
Okay, I'd ask for approval of the minutes have been distributed to trustees. No objections, we'll please place on file. I don't think there's anything on here that is requesting a public comment at this time, nor do we have any old business. We do have a request for a subdivision light at the confluence of at the beginning of Rosemont subdivision at Tolley and Greenleaf Lane. I think that's consistent with what we've done with every other subdivision. And I think we should, and I've talked to Rich Barron, he thinks that it's consistent with everything we've done. Therefore, I'd ask for a motion and approval of us taking over that street light. Any objections to that? Does it have to be a first reading or anything? Doesn't require an ordinance, I don't think. So moved.
Second with questions. So you said it's like in line with what we've been doing, and I'm just not privy. What?
I'm sorry, the way I understand it is that we have paid for the entrance lights for street lights at all subdivisions that have requested.
Okay, so there's precedent for this because when I was reading the memo, I was like, it was kind of random, like, oh, just start paying for our lights. So, but that's good to know. That's good background. Okay.
Any other comments or objections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed, and I guess we notify, who do we notify, Mayor?
Who do we notify? Ameren.
Okay. Who does that?
Jim Lewis.
All right. All right, there's no reason that I can see for an executive session, and I would have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
No objections? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Finance Committee meeting. Karen's not here tonight, so I'm going to run the meeting. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber.
Here.
Ben Allen.
Here.
Karen McAtee, absent. Virginia Wolf-Filey.
Here.
Rick Loschke.
Here.
Sarah Woodman.
Here.
5 are present, 1 absent. Sorry, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All the trustees have been given copies of the minutes from the October 4th meeting. If there's no corrections or additions to those, they'll be put on file in the clerk's office. Hearing none, they'll be put on file in the clerk's office. Public comment?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
My name's Michelle Hopper. I live at 805 Taylor Avenue in the Glazebrook subdivision. And it's come to my attention that the company doing I believe it's fiber optic cabling or something. I'm not exactly sure. They haven't made it to where I am yet. But I've been informed by a couple of my neighbors that their invisible dog fences have been cut and damaged. And the workers are not helping them communicate to their supervisors. They're saying they don't speak English. So these people are getting nowhere. I'm concerned about when they get to my yard because I also have an invisible dog fence. So I'm wondering, can I get the name of this company or can we have a discussion about that?
It's Clear Fiber is the name of the company, right, Richard?
Clearway Fiber.
Clearway Fiber.
You have a phone number you can give her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can give her information after the meeting.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, any damage they do, they have to put it back the way it
Okay,
is.
okay.
And Michelle, I can send you Rich's number if you don't want to sit through the whole meeting. Because I
Okay.
can totally understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'd get you connected with Rich, and works with the contractors. So
Okay.
In fact,
Yeah.
they come in here every Friday.
Yeah, and
Meet with Rich.
yeah, there's a lot of people with those invisible dog fences, and you know, if they had an opportunity to
sprinkler
mark them or
systems.
something.
Right, well, that's what, and I just took a drive through the neighborhood because I only saw them at one part where I walked through. But yeah, it looks like they're totally tearing people's yards up, which, you know, I'm sure they'll replace everything
Right.
and make it look normal again. But yeah, if I have an invisible dog fence, I'd like to at least be able to mark it or, yeah, so if I can
I'll connect you
get you
to.
connected, okay, well then,
Yeah, then you can leave.
Okay.
You can go home.
okay.
Are they trenching or boring over there?
They are boring, but they have to pothole every utility across it. So they'll take a back truck and expose that utility if it's been marked.
So they know they're not screwing up the utility when they lay the fiber.
Exactly, yeah. And then they do have little, I think 2x2 boxes that they put in every couple of houses. So they will have excavations at those locations.
And that goes back flush. Yeah, I would say if you can, if you know where your fence is, I'd try to mark it
I
and
mean,
then
I have
call
a
it
general
out.
idea, but
No, if you
I
just
can-
mark a place like this, it's somewhere here.
right.
Because I've talked to somebody else about their sprinkler system. I think if you know, you put it in, you know where it is, I would go get some, you know, like roadway paint
Right,
and general vicinity of it and just write sprinkler system, and if you see them, tell them.
okay.
But they should be boring underneath that. It's just
Right,
where
but
they
if
cut.
Pick the wrong, or,
Yeah, no, if
The
they
wrong
have to trench
spot,
for the
then-
box, then they could hit it, yeah.
yeah,
Or it could be broken already.
Yeah, I've had other people contact me with issues, so I understand where you're coming from, just trying to prevent that.
exactly, yeah, yeah. So, okay, well, great, well, thank you for your time then.
Keep us informed if you have any other problems.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks for coming. Anybody else? Public Works, consideration of approval to seek gasoline and diesel for 2023 fuel proposals for the Public Works and Parks Department.
So moved.
Second.
Out of motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, consideration and approval of Rexing Trucking as a snow removal backup.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. I hope we don't spend one nickel with them this year. Consideration approval of repair to the 2009 Ford F-350 tipper truck with Roberts Ford of Alton, Illinois, in amount not to exceed $10,467.87.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, we have nothing under Park and Rec. We have nothing under Building and Zoning. Next, consideration under Engineering Department. Consideration and approval of the final invoice for Donaldson Construction in the amount of $266,142.50, and to give authorization to the village treasurer to make payment as a November 2022 prepay.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, consideration and approval of Sundrock Court Drainage Improvement Project in the amount of $17,825, and to give authorization to the village treasurer to make payment as a November prepay.
So moved.
Second.
And got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, consideration and approval of the drainage study agreement with SMS for the 3516 West Elmore Drainage Improvement Project in amount not to exceed $6,650.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, consideration and approval of the preliminary engineering and land acquisition service agreement with Juno and Associates for the Cirque Wayne Drive Drainage Improvement Project in amount not to exceed $26,459.40.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, economic development. Consideration of approval using business district funds for additional street lighting on Godfrey Road.
So moved.
Second. Questions? So, first of all, I mean, if we have like a lot of accidents that are connected with it being too dark, has there been, carjackings, robberies? I mean, I'm just not in favor of just lighting things up to say we're lighting them up.
This, both of these, both projects that you're asked to consider tonight, I asked the Economic Development Committee to make some recommendations how to deploy some of the business district money in some meaningful ways. And one of these was that Godfrey Road is rather dark, and we should maybe light it up some more. As you come up the hill off of Martin Luther King and you enter onto Godfrey Road, it is very dark right there. It's extremely dark. And since that is somewhat of an entrance into Godfrey, it might be nice to have it lit up, more visible, and I think it would make a better impression as you're coming into the entrance of Godfrey. That also is the most dangerous intersection in Godfrey. That's where we have the most accidents. And talking with Lieutenant Kessner, some of those accidents, a number of those accidents occur during non-daylight hours. So lighting up that intersection may add to the safety of that particular area. So it's kind of twofold to, I think, improve the image of Godfrey so it doesn't, because it's so dark there when you come up, it just looks like nothing's going on. And also,
Yeah, I can see that in that intersection, but going further north on Godfrey Road, and some of these are kind of near some residential. I don't know. I mean, energy costs are going up. We should look more to conserving energy. And I get the argument for the intersection. But to light something up just for the sake of lighting it up,
Question I have is, did you give any consideration where Martin Luther King comes into Godfrey? Across the way there, are there any poles that could use some lights on those?
We didn't look at that. I had talked to Brad Long of Ameren, and I met with him, and we looked at where the poles were available and what lights were already there, and that was the proposal that he came up with.
because some of these are just, they're not lighting up anything. Especially the ones that are kind of on the east side along the Sportsman's Club. That's like, an area with a lot of trees and.
Well, there's none on the east side.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said, I support, that intersection, and I know it has a history of having some accidents in it, but just to light up all of Godfrey Road, I'm just not in favor of it. I mean, I'm just one vote, so.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second on consideration of approval of using business district funds for additional street lighting on Godfrey Road.
Would there be any would anyone be in favor of maybe approving a part of this and looking into, going further up, further north? I mean, like, I can see 4, 5, and 6.
I think what Jim's trying to do as our economic development is to encourage growth along.
Oh, sure. No,
those
I
areas.
totally get that. But I don't think just putting lights out necessarily is going to do that. And that's extra cost, extra energy usage. Some people don't like a lot of bright lights around. And I'm just bringing that up for discussion. it's going to be the will of the board to do what they want to do. But I did want to have this discussion.
I'll make
Motion and a
it.
second.
I have a comment. I feel like if it's presently an issue of safety, along with the fact of lighting up and it is dark there, it's really dark, I don't see where that's a bad expenditure of money.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber.
Yes.
Ben Allen.
Yes.
Sharon McAtee absent. Virginia Wolf-Biley.
No?
Rick Glaschke.
Yes.
Sarah Woodman.
Yes.
You have 4 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Moving on, consideration of approval of using business district funds to support a marketing campaign of the district and specific businesses, approximate cost of $60,000.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on the floor. Any comments or questions on this motion?
Tim, you want to explain this a little better, please?
Again, it's
Yeah, tell.
You go ahead, Jim. I'll fill in any blanks.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Well, okay, so this is a recommendation of the Economic Development Committee. Again, what are some things that we could do with the business district money in a meaningful way? And it was suggested that maybe we should have a promotional program for the business district to increase the awareness of the district, also the businesses that are in the district. And so I got with Nick, and he has offered a proposal as to how we could promote the district and make some investment in that sort of thing in a broad range marketing effort. And I'm going to let him explain that. And we also, in part of this proposal, would be to develop a co-op with up to 10 businesses to where they can have their own individual marketing program for their individual business. And it would be suggested that the village would support up to 50% of that particular program. Lots of communities do go out of their way to promote their business district, their business area, and create awareness for their commerce area. So that's what we were thinking about doing. Now, when you get into the Facebook stuff and email send-outs and all that stuff, I don't understand it, so I asked Nick to be here tonight in case you have any details or questions about the details.
Let me understand your letter here. I was assuming the marketing co-op would be done if the first part is successful. You're talking about doing both parts simultaneously, the ad and the co-op. And if the ads are good, then we'll go another 6 months.
Yes, my thinking is that we would offer the co-op to the businesses. They've got to commit to 6 months, and then we would do a general marketing program for the business district for 6 months. And if it's successful and we like how it's going, then we would extend it another 6. But I'd bring it back to you for approval.
And how are you going to measure the success of it?
I can answer that a little bit, Nick, but there'll be a variety of different reporting tools that the individual businesses will get and the board will get as well. It'll show clicks, impressions, likes, a variety of different metrics to measure it by in terms of the effectiveness of all the different types of campaigns.
Okay, that's the effectiveness of getting it out to everybody. The question is, what's it going to do to drive? How do we measure if it's really driving business?
I mean, ultimately, it's the cash registers ringing and sales tax, and that's in the end that's the only way to measure it in terms of is it driving businesses. Are you seeing revenue going up at A, the different individual businesses, and B, in the village wide.
Isn't that generally the issue of spending marketing dollars? It's tough to track how exactly these dollars are coming back to you. Am I correct in thinking that way?
That's always a challenge, but it's not as tough as it used to be, I would say, with a lot of the digital products. There's a lot more metrics to look at in terms of you can track what people are doing a lot more when they're doing it on the internet versus traditional advertising.
So we would do the 30, and then if you got 10 other people to go along with it, that would be another 30 you're talking about.
Think of it as 2 different phases.
Yeah.
One of them is, one phase is the general marketing of Godfrey in general.
That's 30.
That's 30.
Okay,
And I'm suggesting that we would do that for 6 months.
right.
If we find out that, gee, we really like how this is going and it seems to be benefiting the community, then we could look at doing another 6 months. The other part of this is doing the co-op with the local businesses, up to 10 businesses, and they have to commit to 6 months. And I just think that, and by doing that commitment, it does two things. It's hard for them to see a return on their investment if they don't do it for at least 6 months. And I also think it helps us qualify those who are very serious about promoting the business.
What's it cost then for this? What does it cost on the co-op, the business side?
30.
Is it 30?
It will, if we have 10 people, it will be $30,000 to us and $30,000 to them because.
Divided by how many people are doing it?
Right, yeah, it could be up to 30.
What if you got 11 people want to do it? First
Well,
10 or what?
If you want to approve it, I was just going to cut it off at 10, first come, first served.
Well, you can always get back with us and say you have number 11.
You know, I'd be
I'd be
very
pleased if
pleasantly
you had
surprised to
10.
get 10.
Do these businesses have to be in the business district?
Yes.
So we're eliminating quite a few, some businesses.
You're eliminating some. I think we probably have a rough number of the businesses that I know about. We probably have 10 to 15 that are not in the district.
Well, you've got everything on Delmar that's out, right?
Not all. No, for example.
Sunset, is Sunset in?
Sunset's not in the district.
Nor Clifton Terrace?
No.
No. It goes out about as far as Smart Choice.
When this board decided they'd like to help those businesses, we had the voucher program. Sunset took advantage of that. But we could, both Jim and I talked to them, but Clifton Terrace wanted nothing to do with it, which didn't make any sense to me.
Of course, that would be under new ownership now.
No.
Let's give it a try.
Now, let me, is this all digital? What's the medium?
It's a combination, so if you look at, I don't know if you need this different.
I think we have.
It includes print, both of our radio stations, social media, email marketing to our email list, and also display it on advantagemusic.com for the local businesses. For the village, it includes a variety of different things as well. 2 radio stations, 2 print publications, Facebook campaign, an aggressive Facebook campaign, and an aggressive YouTube campaign as well.
Is there any way for you to describe the first 6 months of, what are you going to tell me? How do you advertise Godfrey?
Well, Jim and I were talking about that a little bit before the meeting, but it's really going to be kind of a shop here first campaign, and just trying to attract people not just from the area, but from outside the area. That's primarily what we use the digital campaigns for, and reach across into other areas to, get people to come over. And Jim was talking about a lot of assets that the village has that we can utilize and promote, bike trails and frisbee golf and all sorts of free services that are available for people to come over and utilize. And then, also mentioning some of the individual businesses in that too, restaurants, reasons, just reasons to come over really and spend time and money.
I think Godfrey has a very good story to tell. We're going to be going into a recession here, and I think families are going to be looking for some low-cost activities. And we have wonderful parks. As I said, we have the disc golf, we have bike paths, foot paths. Lewis and Clark, if you get on their calendar, they have all kinds of concerts and art exhibits. So I really think we have a lot to talk about in terms of what we can offer families. And so while we're boasting about the assets that we have, then we can also tie that in to support our local businesses. So have I really refined messaging yet? No, but I'm headed toward that direction.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Any other questions?
So the motion is spend 30 on the Godfrey part and up to another 30 if
For the
10
co-op.
other. That's clarification of the motion.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Moving on, village considerations. Consideration and approval of raffle license waiver of fees and bonding requirements for the Alton Area Optimist Raffle, February 11th, 2023.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next, consideration and approval of the November 2022 accounts payable, general fund, $693,553.01, and motor fuel tax fund, $202,759.74, and the street department, $72,486.40.
So moved.
Sorry.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. Next is consideration approval of payroll, November of 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. No executive session. Then
Move to adjourn?
we are adjourned. Hang loose, the regular meeting will start in a few minutes.
Never has though. It's just like everybody's ready.
I just covered my
Cover
my tracks.
I've never known it to be needed so.
I love it. Have a good night.
What?
Oh, come on. Stick around.
We don't. We prefer boring.
Yeah.
You're right.
They're boring. We're not always cramped in here.
True.
And then they get this. I started looking back here and I thought,
You
forget
look
that.
particularly attractive tonight. Good to see you.
I don't have any schools, kids still in school.
This is for Vivian. I got one for Vivian, one for David. Maybe I should sign it. It's for Vivian and David's school board. This is the worst part of it. Petitions.
Hey, Sarah,
Yes, sir.
you want to read the motions?
A long time.
I will. I'd be more than happy to.
Motions.
Sure. Be more than happy to.
This is, I got a long name though.
Short.
I do when I sign, I just sign over there.
Oh, you better be careful. You could be chastised for that.
So how is she? Does she feel like she's okay?
She has no idea at this point.
Jeff, do you have
Very questionable.
agenda for the next meeting? Somehow I've lost it.
Oh, for the one we're gonna have now?
Yeah, I just want to look. through the Bible.
Exactly. She feels very good. She's going door to door. Yeah. And she is so well received. That makes you feel
That's all I need to know.
Be released next or how can be released?
Oh, I don't tell you. I don't tell you to you. I don't walk on water out of there. Never come across It should never come up. It should not be political. Are they? I'll tell you what it is. It's very important to know this business. You're talking big money.
You're talking big times.
And do they care whether you're big or criminal? They don't care. There's judges to be in.
Oh, okay.
Schedules.
That's right.
Locked up.
That's right. And that just won't work. And he's like, that's right. 6, 8 months. We'll see.
He says he's bored, and that's why he's getting into it. So
Benson told me, he said, "Oh, we talked about that last week." It's just a thousands of things.
Equal copies. Trudy must have lost it in the mail. Gave it to the dog.
The dog ate it.
She has 4 active cases, 2 of them are for child Are they?
Thank you.
She was. So ugly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Should. They're good judges. They work days. When I go to work, half these people don't go to work. Probably not. Is that so clever? Or is it foolish? Do you know?
what do you want?
Well, I have to read it out loud, so I'd like to be correct. She told me she's going to be on That's sad. That's right. I respect her.
Can we all rise? Lieutenant, lead us in the pledge. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Jeff Weber. Here. Glenn Allen.
Here?
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wolf Biley.
Here.
Rick Loschke.
Here.
Sarah Woodman.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. All the trustees have been getting copies of the minutes from our October 4th meeting. If there's no corrections or additions to those, they'll be put on file in the clerk's office. Hearing none, they'll be put on file in the clerk's office. We have no proclamations. Standing committee reports. Ben Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next Public Safety Committee meeting will be held at this location, December 6th at 6 p.m. The public is invited.
Thank you. Finance committee, in the absence of Karen McAtee tonight, Sarah, would you do that?
Sure. I move for the approval to seek gasoline and diesel fuel bids for the Public Works and Parks Department for 2023.
Second.
We got a motion.
Second.
Oh, second, I didn't hear. We got a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed?
I move for the approval for the 2021 snow removal backup by Rexing Trucking of Brighton, Illinois, at the rate of $105 per hour for pickup truck with plow, $125 per hour for dump truck with plow, and overtime for driver, $20 per hour after 8 hours.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the repair of the 2009 Ford F-350 tipper truck with Roberts Ford of Alton, Illinois, in amount not to exceed $10,467.87, and to give authorization to the village treasurer to make payment as a December 2022 prepaid.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Bless you.
I move for the final invoice from Donaldson Construction Company, LLC of Clever, Missouri, for the Modified Aggregate Quickset, MAQS, program for an increase of $246.50 for a total cost of $266,142.50, and to give authorization to the village treasurer to make payment as a December 2022 prepaid.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the drainage study agreement for Sundrop Court Drainage Improvement Project from Civil Design, Inc. of St. Louis, Missouri, at a cost not to exceed $17,875, and to give authorization to the village treasurer to make payment as a December 2022 prepaid.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the drainage study agreement from Shepherd, Morgan and Schwab, Inc. of Alton, Illinois, for the 3516 West Delmar Drainage Improvements Project in an amount not to exceed $6,650.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the preliminary engineering and land acquisition services agreement from Juneau Associates Incorporated of Edwardsville, Illinois, for the Sogowan Drive Drainage Improvements Project in an amount not to exceed $26,459.40.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
I move for approval to install 7 new streetlights in the area of Godfrey Road from Ranch House to the property of the Fire District after approval is given from Illinois Department of Transportation at a cost of installation of $500 and the annual payment of $1,200 per light, and to give authorization to use business district funds.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I do want to make a clarification. It's $100 a month, so it'd be $1,200
Oh,
Right.
I think you said 1,200 a month. That's-
It reads, I'll read it
1,200 per
again.
light is
It
what-
reads
per light.
1,200 per light.
Annual payment.
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so, yeah.
Excuse me, just want to make sure.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on this one?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wolf Biley?
No.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
You have motion carried, accepted.
Motion carries. Thank you.
I move for the approval of business district funds to engage in a 6-month marketing campaign of the Godfrey Business District and its specific businesses with the Big Z Media of Alton, Illinois, at a cost of $30,000, and to enter into a marketing co-op with up to 10 Godfrey Business Districts business for a 6-month program with a 50% match at a cost not to exceed $30,000.
Second?
We got a motion and a second on the floor. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of raffle license with the waiver of the fidelity bond and application fee for the raffle permit for Alton Area Optimist raffle, February 11th, 2023.
Second?
We got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the November 2022 accounts payable general fund, $693,553.01, the motor fuel tax fund, $202,759.74, and the street department, $72,486.40.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
I move for the approval of the payroll account for the period of 9/1/2022 to 10/22/2022 for the village for a total payroll of $160,116.71, mileage of $430.17, street telephones of $161.56, and payroll taxes of $21,963.42.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Is street telephone something new, or am I?
It is something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, you know why that's on there?
I do not. Took me by surprise, too.
Do you know what a street telephone is?
What is a street?
Well, we supply them phones.
You supply streets phones?
Oh, how much
Street,
money
the
was
street
it?
department is supplied.
Oh, street
161,
department phones.
161.
Maybe it should say department.
$161.56.
Okay, that, I would say that is the reimbursement that was agreed to in the contract,
Ah.
the union contract.
It is.
I believe it's $25 a month per employee.
Okay, good.
We
I
don't-
just
we
not
don't
seen it
supply
before.
them Phones anymore, they use their own personal phone.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
All right, thanks.
Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. Okay, moving on. Financial report, everybody's been given copies of the treasurer's report. If there's no questions, or we'll move on. Public comment, Anna Adams. I don't think Miss
I
Adams
was here, yeah.
is not here.
Mm-mm. I think we got her issue kind of sorted out, so hopefully.
Advisory committee reports, Park and Rec.
Mr. Mayor, the Parks and Recreation Committee will next meet November 18th, 2022, 8:30 in this room. Everyone's welcome. Please come by if you like.
Thank you, Chris.
I would like to thank Chris and Jim Lewis, the street department people, on the work they did on the pavilion. I think it looks very nice.
It does.
Yes.
Jim's guys did it, so yeah, it looks great.
Good job.
Planning and zoning.
My next meeting is November 16th at 6 p.m. in this meeting hall.
Thank you, Laura. CPEDI, Jim?
Mr. Mayor, trustees, our next meeting will be November 9th at 2 o'clock in this room. Come one, come all is invited. It's also at this time that I need to advise you that the mayor and I have approved a CPEG grant to the Sportsman's Club in the amount of $4,767 for them to do some landscaping.
Thank you, Jim. Godfrey Sustainability Commission, Virginia.
Yeah, our next meeting is November 17th, but what we're doing in place of, in lieu of the meeting, is we have adopted the stretch Tolly Lane between Humbert Road and Godfrey Road, so we're doing Adopt a Highway cleanup. And everyone's invited to come help us at noon on November 17th. We'll have bags and gloves and maybe some fun refreshments too. So that's something new that we've done and signed a contract with the street department with.
Thank you, Virginia. Stormwater Committee, Richard.
Our next meeting will be tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 in this room.
Thank you. As the committee, Chris Sickler. Chris is under the weather a little bit. His next meeting is January 10th at 11 a.m. right here in this room. Everybody's been given copies of the correspondence to the mayor's office and to the clerk's office.
So be placed on file.
Our motion is, and not a second, put it up, not a second. And any questions on any of the correspondence? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be put on file. We have no unfinished business. Under new business, consideration and approval of the 2022-2023 IMLRMA insurance policy. Approval of the min-max contribution agreement. Approval of the ordinance authorizing the execution of the RMA min-max contribution agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on this? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber? Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wolf Wiley?
Yes.
Rick Loschke?
Yes.
Sarah Wood?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries.
Next on the agenda is consideration and approval of an ordinance modifying the number of liquor licenses by category within the village of Godfrey, Illinois, and modifying Chapter 6, Article 2 of the revised code of ordinance for the village of Godfrey. This is the second reading of this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
What is it basically doing? I read it all, but I'm still confused.
Adding another number, adding another liquor license to the amount that we allow. We have to do it every single time.
Do we have somebody that is, my question is, we talked about we would wait until somebody applied and then increase it, or are we going to increase it every time?
It's for the car wash.
What? It used to be there was a set amount of liquor license, and then when this board passed to allow video gaming, the decision was made at that time that each new liquor license needs to be approved by this board.
Yep.
For the car wash.
Okay, somebody has applied, so this is why we're doing it.
This is the second reading of this one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I kind of had a similar question, and I thought it was for that, but is there, I mean, why can't we just say that in the ordinance, that who it's for? I mean, is that not?
I kind of agree with that thinking. In fact, I think that's been been brought up in the city of Lawton, that these are a little more clearer.
I think it would be helpful and it'd help us track them.
This is
better.
for the so-called car wash,
Right.
which is going to be nice if it's ever. I think they're really making moves in the right direction now.
So is there any negative to naming the business? No.
I
mean, I would really like to do that going forward, so we really know what we're voting on, we know what business it is, and then tracking them too, instead of just, having, we have so many of this class, so many of that class, really itemizing that list and having a better grip on where the licenses are let.
I think that's a good point.
And that's not only that, but other things that come before this board, like the next issue, sale of surplus real estate. You know, can we be more clear what we're talking about selling?
Yeah. And I think you always win when you have greater transparency, so maybe it's something we could do going forward.
Well, it's very simple, put the name in there.
Right on. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Any more comments? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
Yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Next is consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing an amendment to a contract regarding the sale of surplus real estate.
So moved.
Second.
And this is
I'm sorry,
the
I
prop,
need to
this is,
suspend the rules.
this is the property across the street from the Motor Mart that is in the process of being sold to Joe's Pizza.
So he changed it to suspension of rules, sir.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's right, we do that. It's first reading.
Okay.
Okay, so
We got a motion to suspend, we got a second on suspension. Madam Clerk, call.
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Make the
Move
motion,
for
Jeff.
the approval of the ordinance.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on any comments or questions. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
Yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Thank you. Next, consideration and approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 18 of the Village of Godfrey, Illinois, Buildings and Buildings Regulation Code, adding electrical code language. This is the first reading of this ordinance. Next, moving on, is consideration and approval of an ordinance authorizing the execution of a redevelopment agreement with Eastland Properties LLC.
Move for suspension of the rules.
Second.
We got a motion for suspension of the rules. Any questions on the suspension of the rules? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
Yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Move for the approval of the ordinance.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the execution of the agreement. Any comments or questions? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
Yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Next on the agenda is consideration and approval of the resolution for the 63rd Annual Great River Road Run.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on this resolution. Any comments or questions on the resolution? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Jeff Weber?
Yes.
Ben Allen?
Yes.
Karen McAtee absent. Virginia Wilk-Biley?
Yes.
Rick Laschke?
Yes.
Sarah Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed, one absent, motion carries, sir.
Next is public comment.
Could I go back to Eastman property, even though we approved it?
Say-
He wants to go back to Eastland property,
Sure.
sir.
As clarification, the board has already approved $250,000, as I understand it, in the past for this project. So what else are we committed for then?
This is the formalization of the $250,000 in approval.
That's all it is.
Correct.
And we have committed to the demolition grant for the
Yes.
buildings. So there's that, those two. 250 plus the 20 for the demolition.
Well, the only reason I ask is that in reading all of this, it's like reading an insurance policy written by a lawyer. But it talks in there about going back 200 feet from Godfrey
I'm
Road.
sorry, and I was just getting ready to say, we are committed to building
why
the
is
road.
that in there?
We got to build the road.
Well, we haven't decided a road. It could be a stub too.
Stub road.
We're not going all the way to the back of the
No,
property.
no, we're just the minimum.
Okay.
So this commits us to the minimum. Okay, all right,
200 feet or what lesser of the,
Just a T.
yeah, right.
yeah. That's what I want to clarify. Thank you.
Any other comments from the trustees?
Yes, sir. I do have a comment.
Sure.
I briefly spoke with Rich Barron. Something that's been questioned to me and conversed by Godfrey residents is their fear and not having the knowledge of these roundabouts. And I think part of it, and I'll be very honest, I don't know that I'm very knowledgeable. This was all prior to me becoming a trustee. And I think a lot of net residents do not know a timeline and what exactly is going to happen. And I spoke with Rich just briefly about maybe IDOT coming in and doing something to inform our residents. I think they feel like when you say that this is an IDOT project, our residents feel like, well, but we're in Godfrey, and they want the backing of the trustees and the mayor. And I just said, wouldn't it be helpful maybe to do something or have IDOT do something to inform our residents of what exactly will happen?
In the original start of the project, years and years ago, they had numerous meetings here and at the college.
Right.
There was quite a few public hearings.
Sure.
Public input. And then it lied dormant for a while.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, they're going to spend some money in Godfrey IDOT, which is very unusual. And
Maybe that's something we could work on through the sustainability committee, because we really supported those roundabouts. Maybe we could get a public meeting together, get IDOT in.
I feel like the public needs to be informed, and I know like the Resurrection Church has had a meeting, and the residents of Frontenac have had a neighborhood meeting. So there is concern, and I really am wondering, do they know the facts, first of all, and a timeline and such? And I feel like it would be important for Godfrey to show that, yes, we do care, even though it's an IDOT project, we are involved in what the residents feel.
Well, the problem is, IDOT announces they're having a meeting, which they did, a couple meetings, about improvements at Del Mar and Pierce and Roundabout. Most people that are affected by that think, well, that's going to be fine, until they start hearing in the community, this might be a 1.5-year project that you can't get from here to there without a heck of a problem. How long is it? People have asked me, how long is it going to take?
Right.
What's it going to cost?
Right.
How are people from Frontenac going to get out for a 1.5 years?
Correct.
If I'm on Homer Adams and coming towards Godfrey Del Mar, how am I going to get from there to the other side of Pierce? And people just don't understand all these things. And yes, they did have a hearing or two, but people don't pay attention to that because you just think, oh, they're going to improve the road.
Right.
But nobody really visualized all the disruptions that's going to be there in this project. And I think there's a lot of upset people in our community.
I have had many people say to me, and I don't know the correct answer, Jeff, to some of those. When my friend lives on Summerfield and I live on Frontenac, are they going to be able to get to my house? I don't know the proper answers, and I think people are becoming leery and worried, and they think, I don't want to hear that this is an IDOT project. They don't want to hear that anymore. They want to know facts. So I said something to Rich, and he certainly agreed that he would get a hold of IDOT, and maybe the next step is to do a village meeting for residents where they can learn exactly the facts. I would like to know how to answer residents.
well, you could answer the resident if they're worried about getting out of their residence. Even when we do a street, our public works, we got to, by law, you got to let people have access.
Right.
And people who live on Frontenac, they're going to have access. No
They
problem.
want to know how will it be. I think that's their point. They're they're so consumed with, I don't know anything, that they're afraid of what it might be. I just don't think there's enough information and knowledge out there.
Well,
A timeline would be
one of
good,
the things
too.
I not said is if you're coming east on Delmar and you want to get to North Alton, they're going to detour you all the way up to the road right here. You're going to come all the way up here. I just forgot the name of the road, Airport Road. You're going to take Pierce all the way up to Airport Road, go over here by Walmart, make a right, then go all the way down to the Beltline.
Where did you hear that?
That was in one of the articles that was there.
Well, that was the article, but nobody's going to go up to Airport Road. They're going to go out
Well,
Stamper
nobody's
Lane.
gonna do that, but I mean, that's
Or they're going to
their-
go down Clifton Terrace Road and go into City of Alton. And then if you're going west,
I think our
I understand
discussion
you're gonna
shows
have to
that
get
we
off.
need more knowledge and information and a
you go through
timeline.
the subdivisions to get
Richard,
west.
have you seen anything?
I haven't heard much other than that they're working through easement language and property acquisitions for it. I can reach out to them and see if, they can have a public meeting to kind of walk them through what to expect.
Well, like one of the persons told me the other day, he said, I remember if you're on Homer Adams coming towards Delmar and you get right past Dixon's, or some used to be Dixon's distributing there, they're going to force everybody over on the frontage road that goes in front of the church over to Pierce. Then they say, what's going to happen when everybody gets there, when you have 500 cars lined up there? How do you get from there and back to Delmar? Is there going to be a light there, or is everybody going to have a stop sign and every car has to stop and wait for the other cars going the other way? And I said, I don't have an answer to that. I don't know.
There's a lot of specifics that I don't know if I can answer that either.
No, I
I've
agree.
seen
And
plans
that's
for
what
it.
I say. If the board is completely confused, and I can see why, and maybe that's our fault, but that's where we are today.
Correct.
And to solve this with the community and whatnot, to make them feel better, I think we need to come up with a solution.
Is there a tentative start date?
Pardon?
Is there a tentative start date?
They were wanting to let the project in January, but I heard that got pushed back because of some negotiations with property owners. So right now, I think they're hoping to get it going in 2023.
Well, and I think as soon as we get some information, because we can't have a meeting and say we don't have the answers.
Oh, no.
But once we start getting a little information, I think we really need to set something up. And maybe set something up during the day and evening to accommodate different people. But yeah, and in the end, the roundabouts are going to be good, but it's going to be that growing pain because I drive through there all the time, and often I'm at a red light and there's no cars, and I'm just sitting there, and that's frustrating as well, or it's backed up. So it is. There's problem areas, and it's going to be huge growing pains once to get this fix in place. But I think we want our community to know it's going to enhance, traffic flow and their ingress and egress from, their subdivisions. So it's going to be a good thing, but we need to get information out to them.
Yeah, my point is simply that I've had a lot of people recently bring this up,
Absolutely.
and I don't know the answers, and they are misinformed or uninformed is probably correct.
Until we get this meeting set up, and Richard will work on it, we'll work on it together.
Great.
You can assure people that they'll have access.
Well, I think they know they will have access. They'd like to know how it's going to work.
Okay.
And a timeline, I think, is also of importance to the residents.
When IDOT presented you with the two different plans that we brought to the board, do you recall what the difference was?
One of them, I think, was 2 or 3 phases that would last about a year, and then the other one had about 7 phases that would stretch it out to about a 3-year project. So I think we were shooting for the shorter duration project. But I'll reach out to them to see if they have plans to do some sort of public engagement, kind of let everyone know, and if not, if we could set something up as it gets closer to the time that we're planning the project. That way everybody can figure out what to expect.
Well, I appreciate Rich and you, the mayor, just addressing it because I do think it's of importance to the residents of
It's a
Godfrey.
good project in the long run.
Well, but we never have heard, as far as I know, from IDOT, is it gonna be a one-year project or a three-year project?
We don't know anything, really.
The last they told Frontenac was it's a construction season. They didn't define that. So is that 1 year or what? I don't know.
That's interesting.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring something up about the town center development and that going forward. And if there's any discussion about maybe a new municipal complex in there, we want an area that's going to consolidate, kind of mixed-use businesses, a municipal building maybe.
Replace this building?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool not to have cinder blocks all around you all the time? I'm just saying, if we're looking forward and looking for that really heart of the community type thing, and maybe being more accessible to people, because we are kind of out, on the North 40 out here. But if we've got this exciting new development going on, maybe incorporating something like that, it would be a good time, and it would make good financial sense, maybe, to think about incorporating that into that plan. So just throwing it out there for discussion.
When I was a trustee, they put this $900,000 addition onto this building, and I opposed that because at that time I have been proven wrong, but I thought this is a valuable piece of property, because I thought so as 255 got here, this whole area will be popping, but it's not. And in fact, when American Water was looking at our property, I was very interested in buying what Jeff mentioned earlier, the Dixon property, with the money from American Water, which would make this more centrally located in the village of Godfrey, and it'd also be a good place for our public works. And that fell through.
Yeah, but
Totally.
we couldn't get to that for 3 years because the roundabout's being built.
Well, but I think infill like that is very sustainable, and bringing people more into a central location to, do business, whether it's shopping or, visiting the clerk's office or the, building and zoning. So I wanted to just kind of insert that in the conversation and the planning possibilities.
That door's been opening an awful lot this past week and a half with people coming out to early vote. I mean, our parking lot is packed almost every day. I think it's far surpassing most numbers we've had so far in early voting.
As of today, it was 890.
So far.
That's a lot.
That's an
That's
awful
an
lot.
awful lot. When in the last one, we did 30 a day.
Okay, any comments from any of the staff? Before you sit down, before you sat down, go ahead, you're on, man.
I'd move to adjourn.